Ozarks Fox News, certified by Weather Rates for the most accurate forecast in the Ozarks.
Well, it was a beautiful election day across the area, and it looks like tomorrow's going to be pretty nice as well. Temperatures certainly looking good. We start off in the upper 40s as we're breaking into our Wednesday. By late morning, we're closing in on 70, and once again tomorrow afternoon, we top 70 degrees. Looks like about 74 for a high. We will see more high cloudiness, especially during the afternoon, and that'll make for some filtered sunshine. Also, winds are going to be breezier out of the southwest. This unusually warm pattern, it's not a 1 or 2 day thing. This thing's going to last all the way through this upcoming weekend, but I do see colder weather down the road. More on that coming up.
Campaigns have come to a close. It's Election Day, and voters showed up in record numbers to decide who will lead America and Missouri.
Ozarks Fox has team coverage as ballots are counted and futures decided. This night will be long, and we hope you'll watch it all from your local election headquarters, KRBK.
Well, the votes are in for this history-making election. Welcome to your local election headquarters on Ozarks Fox. I'm John Adams.
I'm Sarah Scarlett. We'll be here with you for the next hour. Let's get to some big numbers in Missouri. Let's take a look at Missouri's governor race. Right now, 28% of precincts are reporting with Governor Mike Parson in the lead with 52% of the votes, and Nicole Galloway, the Democratic state auditor, with 46%. Now, this election could be the first time that Governor Mike Parson is elected to the position. You may recall he was elected lieutenant governor in 2016, then became governor in 2018 after Eric Greitens resigned.
So far, so good for the governor right now in the state of Missouri. Early numbers looking good for Governor Parson.
Yes, there's a long way to go, though. We still have a lot of precincts that haven't reported yet.
Long way to go.
Governor Mike Parson is spending his election night here in Springfield.
And our David Chazanoff and Jesse Inman are live at Bass Pro's White River Conference Center tonight. Guys, things got kicked off there about an hour ago. Can you describe the atmosphere in that room for us tonight?
Yeah, guys, things got a lot more lively since things started just about an hour ago. I've seen about a couple hundred people file in.
Yeah, that's right, David. And quite a few familiar faces here on the Republican side of things. We just saw Congressman Billy Long enter the room a few minutes ago, just spoke to Speaker of the House Elijah Har, and Congressman Jason Smith got things kicked off for us here tonight with the MC.
Yeah, that's right. He took the stage at 8 p.m. and gave a short speech to the crowd here, really embraced the message of beating the Democrats and putting as many Republicans in office as possible. He discussed his relationship with the governor, who he has toured with for much of the campaign.
Yeah, that's right. You know, he did take the stage at 8 p.m. It's been pretty lively since then, like David said. And, of course, Fox News being aired on 2 different projectors here. Every time some results are shown in favor of the Republican Party, it's met by some applause. We just saw Senator Lindsey Graham. That race was declared. Thunderous applause here for that. But, of course, the main focus for those in attendance tonight is the result of the governor's race. And Jason Smith actually emphasized that, right, David?
Yeah, he said he's here to support his good friend. You know, Governor Parson's tour lasted about 33 bus stops, and he was with Governor Parson for most of that tour. You may be hearing Congressman Jason Smith actually speaking right behind us,
right.
And that support has been all with Missouri from throughout the beginning.
Yeah, he sure has, and he's, as you can hear, Jason Smith here right now. We're going to go ahead and kick it back to you guys. We'll be sure to check in with you here shortly. For David Chazanoff, I'm Jesse Inman in Springfield, Ozarks First.
All right, guys, thank you.
Well, members of the Democratic Party watching Galloway's race closely tonight in Springfield.
And our Francis Lynn is live at the Mother's Brewing Company in town. Francis, how are the Democrats feeling about what has taken place so far this evening?
Well, good evening, John and Sarah. So I'm here with the Democratic campaign at Mother's Brewery. So everyone here is wearing a mask, but due to COVID-19, this party is not open to the public. So it's just the candidates and the friends and family of the candidates are here. Now, we're still a little early, like you mentioned before, with the Missouri governor's race, Governor Mike Parson versus Nicole Galloway. Of course, most everyone here, the candidates and people are supporting candidate Nicole Galloway, but the race is too early to call right now with only 25% of the votes in. So let's first talk about our local Missouri House of Representative races. Up first, I have Crystal Quaid, the only candidate here that has held the seat for District 132. So Crystal, you are the minority leader here. Your platform strongly focuses on dealing with issues regarding children and foster care. If elected, what challenges do you think you'll have in continuing on with these goals?
Definitely the biggest challenge that we're all going to face going back to Jefferson City is dealing with COVID-19. Obviously, we're going to a special session just next week to deal with funding around that. But when it comes to trying to do other issues outside of that, we first and foremost are going to have to get a handle on that for our small businesses, our economy, our schools, making sure that it's safe for folks to be functioning.
Yeah, and you also mentioned funding. So with Missouri's budget, trying to get more funding for public schools. So how do you plan on achieving that goal if elected?
Yeah, the budget across the board is going to be very difficult in the coming year. As we well know, COVID-19 has had a huge impact on our economy. And as we continue to tackle how that funding is going to work out for our local hospitals and our small businesses, trying to do things like increase teacher pay or increase transportation funding for our public schools is going to be difficult. We also are going to be looking at Medicaid expansion, which the voters overwhelmingly wanted us to pass. And so we have to fund that too. So we really need to be looking at how to generate revenue for the state of Missouri. There are a lot of ideas on the table that we've been pushing for many, many years. So I'm hopeful that we'll have some really serious discussions about how we can bring more money into our state.
Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, again, that was Crystal Quaid running for District 132. Now, John and Sarah, when I check back in with you, next up I have Betsy Fogel. She is running against Republican opponent Steve Helms for District 135. But for now, back to you. Francis Lynn, Ozarks First.
All right, Francis, thank you. Now we're going to check in on the big race here going on this evening. It's the presidential race, and this is how voters in Missouri who they are supporting this evening. And take a look at the board here. 52% of Missourians right now are supporting President Donald Trump. Over 423,000 votes at 47% is the Democratic challenger, former Vice President Joe Biden, 47% of the total. Like we said earlier, with the governor's race, it's still early, 28% of precincts reporting. But this is where things stand right now. Over half of Missourians right now saying yes to President Trump. And he carried this state back in 2016, so this isn't entirely surprising to see.
Yes, and Missouri is no longer a swing state, so we're kind of expecting it possibly to go red.
Yes, like it did back in 2016 for the president. A lot of supporters of the president here. He has been in Springfield a few times over the last couple of years. If you remember, he announced his tax cuts right here in Springfield just about 3 years ago. So this has been a popular place for the president, and he's doing well so far this evening. But we'll continue to watch this race as the rest of the map fills in. We're about 28% in so far this evening.
Turning now to Amendment 1, Missouri voters decided on 2 amendments today. Amendment 1 would impose a limit of 2 terms on the state offices of Lieutenant Governor, Secretary of State, State Auditor, and Attorney General. And like we said, it's still early in the evening. 17% of precincts reporting right now, but right now Missourians are saying no to Amendment 1. 52% of voters saying no, 48% saying yes. 266,000 voters so far saying no to those term limits. Turning now to Amendment 3. Amendment 3 has been the more talked about of the 2 amendments. It reduces the amount allowed for lobbyist gifts from $5 to $0 and lowers the campaign contribution limits to state Senate campaigns by $100. But the most discussed part of this Amendment 3 is that it nullifies the state demographer position voters approved 2 years ago. If you remember, this was on the ballot in 2018. It was called Clean Missouri. At that point, voters approved it then. It's back on the ballot now. A no vote would uphold what voters said in 2018. A yes vote would do away with that. Right now, 51% of voters are saying yes to Missouri Amendment 3, 49% saying no. This is a close race so far. 18% of precincts reporting right here, so this will probably go on into the night. Yeah, we have a long way to go. Long way to go. Our team coverage continues this evening. County clerks saw voters through an election like we've never seen before, from mail-in votes to dealing with COVID-19 precautions. Bailey Stroll is live at the Greene County Clerk's headquarters. Bailey, what's the latest?
Well, here at the Election Center on Boonville in Springfield, it looks like everything's going as scheduled. I just spoke with the Greene County Clerk, Shane Scholler. He said there were cars lined up just a few minutes ago all the way through the parking lot of poll judges, election judges, making their way here to drop off the ballots at Election Center as they prepare to be tallied. But some of these precincts in Greene County are going to have to wait a little while longer. The clerk's office is going to have to wait a little while longer until they receive those. Shane Scholler is saying that there were some exceptionally long lines in areas like Willard and Republic due to more people taking advantage of curbside voting today than expected. He says there may even be some that are still casting a ballot tonight, and if not, some of those precincts just now wrapping up. Now, we've had 2 rounds of results already been released here in Greene County. The first was all the absentee ballots that were cast here at the election center before Election Day. The second are absentee ballots received by the clerk's office. And then now the third, the next, will be the first of tallied mail-in ballots across Greene County. He expects 5 or 6 rounds of results before tallying wraps up tonight, and he's hoping that'll be around 10:30 tonight. Now, we don't know about voter turnout at the moment, in Greene County at least, but if you look at a state level, the Associated Press is expecting about 75% voter turnout here in Missouri. And if we get up to that number, we will be that will be the highest turnout that we've seen since 78% voter turnout back in 1992. Reporting in Springfield, Bailey Stroll, Ozarks First.
All right, Bailey, thank you. Well, this just in, our Madison Heaver is keeping track of breaking news alerts from around the country tonight.
Madison, what are some of the races that you're keeping an eye on tonight?
Yeah, Sarah, I'm keeping up with some Senate races across the country tonight, including the race for Senate in Arkansas. Republican incumbent Tom Cotton is the projected winner against Democratic challenger Ricky Dale Harrington Jr. That is with 40% of the expected vote. We're also taking a look at Maine's race for Senate between Republican incumbent Susan Collins, Sarah Gideon, Max Lynn, and Lisa Savage. Right now, Collins is leading in that race, and that's with only 11% in right now. We're also watching the race for Senate in Iowa, but as you can see, we are still waiting on results from that state to start coming in. But the country is also looking at Georgia tonight, which has 2 Senate races right now, a special election, and the other with Republican incumbent David Perdue and John Ossoff. Now, Perdue is leading so far in that race, but it has not been called yet. And you'll also want to keep an eye on these races as they could potentially flip the Senate. And we do want to let you know that we are keeping you updated on other races on our website, ozarksfirst.com, with our Ozarks First Right Now breaking news desk.
All right, Madison, thank you. Well, we're going to take a look now at some more numbers here in the state of Missouri, and it looks like we're going to take a look at where the Attorney General race is sitting at right now. Or actually, we're going to go over to the presidential race. Take a look at where things stand right now. Right now, the Associated Press has 131 electoral votes projected for Joe Biden. President Trump sitting at 98 total electoral votes, and you can see kind of where states are filling in right there. And here's one of the battleground states, the state of Florida, and this has gone back and forth all night, and we are getting close to the final tally here. 51%. Just over 51% of voters voting for the President Donald Trump here, 47% for Joe Biden. Still waiting on some votes coming in the state of Florida. And then we look over here, the results we have for Texas.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at Texas. Right now, Donald Trump has about 50% of the vote, while Joe Biden has 47%. As you can see, this is going to be a very close call. We're still waiting. That's with 69% of precincts reporting. So we are still waiting on several other counties to report.
And of course, the blue wall states will be in play too as the evening goes on. We'll talk with our Brian Calfano. We're going to be watching Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. A lot of people think those are the states that will ultimately decide this presidential election. Well, back here at home, now we're going to take a look at where things stand for the Attorney General race. 21% of precincts reporting. The incumbent Eric Schmidt looking good so far this evening. 62% of voters supporting the current Attorney General Eric Schmidt. Democrat Rich Finneran coming in behind with 36% of the vote. Libertarian Kevin Babcock so far, or 2% of the vote. Still early though. 21%, not even a quarter of the vote in so far. And a lot of, like Bailey said, those long lines here in the area, that's probably contributing to these vote totals not coming in so far into our newsroom.
So we're going to take a look at Missouri's treasurer race. Scott Fitzpatrick currently holds the seat, and he's ahead right now with 61% of the vote. Vicki Lorenz England, the Democratic candidate, has 36% of the vote. That is with 21% of precincts reporting. Fitzpatrick has served as state treasurer since January 2019. He was appointed to that role by Governor Mike Parson after Eric Schmidt was appointed to Attorney General when Josh Hawley got elected as senator. Fitzpatrick has served 6 years in the Missouri House. Again, I mean, it's very early in the night, so things could definitely change in this race.
It's very early. We're going to get back to more results here in a minute, but now we're going to turn to weather and check in with our Chief Meteorologist Jamie Warner. Once again, a beautiful night for folks waiting in line across the area.
Yeah, another gorgeous night across the area. And, you know, if you are hoping that things kind of stay the same weather-wise, you're going to get your wish. We've got a beautiful pattern the rest of the week and through this upcoming weekend. Any changes toward wetter and colder conditions, we're going to keep that way off toward the end of the forecast. I'll have that for you coming up next.
You're watching KRBK's Ozarks Fox News at 9 with Sarah Scarlett, John Adams, and weather with Chief Meteorologist Jamie Warner.
I hear you, but I don't have my IFB adapter, so I can't use the actual IFB, but I hear you over the thing. For like 2 minutes, right? Okay. Just have him be like, shut up or something if it gets too long. Okay.
And now weather with Chief Meteorologist Jamie Warner, certified by Weather Rates for the most accurate forecast in the Ozarks.
Oh, wow. Today was a great one across the area. Beautiful day for folks that wind up having to maybe stand in those lines. We're getting ready to vote. We had sunshine. We had mild temperatures pretty shortly after the day started. Outside right now, we're finding starry skies and bright moonshine. Mid-50s right now. breeze out of the south. That's going to help to hold temperatures high again. It looks like we'll see overnight lows generally in the 40s. Temperatures still in a few spots in the low 60s. Camdenton reporting 61, 62 in Ava. This after a day where we saw highs in the mid to upper 70s. This actually outdid expectations. Looked like we were going to be looking at highs in the low to mid 70s. We made it into the mid to upper 70s this afternoon. This is sort of a sign of where we're going the remainder of the week and through this upcoming weekend. Also well above average. The average high is 63. We made it up to 75 today, and 1 week ago today we had a high of only 38 degrees when we were dealing with that cold and wet pattern. Nothing like that on the map right now across the United States. Very, very quiet. That's not been the case in Central America, particularly Nicaragua, where we've got what is a weakening hurricane, but this Hurricane Ada continues to barrel off to the west, and it came ashore as a Category 4 hurricane with 140 mile per hour winds, and it will go down in the record books as one of the strongest November hurricanes on record. This storm still, again, poses a threat, not only because of very heavy rainfall, but winds are still clocked at 105 miles per hour, although those winds and those pressures will continue to weaken as that storm continues to push further and further inland. And over the next several days, it'll make its way across Nicaragua and Honduras, and then eventually it makes its way back out into the Western Caribbean, and from there it will try to re-intensify somewhat, threaten Cuba, and probably threaten the state of Florida here in about 5 days. And then from there it may sort of meander in that general vicinity until something can move in to kind of kick that storm out of that area. For us locally, conditions are quiet. It's going to stay that way. A little high cloudiness moving into our skies by morning. There'll be a lot more of that where that came from. It looks like we'll find mostly sunny to partly sunny conditions tomorrow. A lot of that high cloudiness, especially during the afternoon. That'll probably trim back temperatures maybe a couple of degrees, but then by Thursday we're back to sunny conditions. Temperatures tonight dropping generally into the 40s, and then highs tomorrow generally in the mid 70s. Winds out of the southwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Looking at overnight lows tomorrow night back in the 40s with afternoon highs on Thursday back in the mid 70s. And this pattern will continue to yield a lot of warmth and dry conditions through this upcoming weekend. Late in the week, going into the weekend, trough moves into the western U.S. and this will make for a storm to move out early next week. It looks like that'll be somewhere in the Monday night to Tuesday time frame when that cold front pushes through. So that'll be our next chance for showers. Until then, enjoy the warmth that we're finding here in the first week of November. John?
All right, Jamie, thank you. Forecast looks good. Ozarks Fox is your local election headquarters, and we're going to get back to the election tonight. Our political analyst, Dr. Brian Calfano, is joining us tonight. And as we look at the presidential election tonight, Brian, one of the key themes for tonight, which could decide the race, is will former Vice President Biden be able to flip some of the blue wall states, if you will, back in his camp? A lot of these states President Trump carried in 2016, and that led him to the win. So where are things stand so far tonight? How are things looking in what a lot of people think could possibly decide the election this evening?
Yeah, good to see you, John. And you're right. I mean, those are the three states that Biden has to get back. They have voted Democratic traditionally over the last few decades. Trump narrowly won each. He won all three of them by just tens of thousands of votes in 2016. Right now, we're looking at the precincts coming in. We are less than 50% of the votes counted in all three states. President Trump is ahead, but we expect that to go back and forth a bit before all is said and done. If you put any stock in these polls, and hopefully they are more correct than not, Vice President Biden has a higher chance of winning those three states than President Trump does. But don't count the president out, obviously. That was the lesson from 2016. If, however, President Trump can't manage to win at least one of those blue wall states when all is said and done, his electoral math is going to be a little more difficult to get to 270 votes. Even though he's doing well in Florida, you have Joe Biden, who looks like he's going to be competitive in Arizona. North Carolina remains a tight race at this point. Iowa just started to get some information back from them. So there's a lot more to be determined, obviously. We're not going to know about Pennsylvania even, perhaps for a few more days, because they can accept ballots up to 3 days after Election Day. So by the end of the week into the weekend, if it's a close call in Pennsylvania, we might have to wait till then to actually find out what's going on with this race. So a lot more to come, certainly to stay tuned to.
So, Brian, have you seen any big surprises tonight?
Well, I mean, the president has been really competitive in Florida. He's essentially, we haven't called it yet, but I think he's outperformed what the polls were suggesting for Florida. There were some moments about an hour or two ago where it looked as though Texas was maybe going towards the Democratic column. I think that ship has been sent over to the right, no pun intended, and back into the Republican column at this point. And so I think those are some surprises because there was some, I think, wishful thinking on the part of the Democrats that they were going to be able to flip those states and at least in Texas's case, move it into a purple column and push Florida back into the Democratic column. It had gone for Barack Obama twice. So in this situation, I think you're looking at potentially a really close, very tight electoral college map that you're going to have Vice President Biden do well in Iowa and in Arizona and in Nevada to be able to make up for losses in Florida and certainly not having Texas ending up being competitive if the numbers that we're seeing coming in hold.
Definitely some interesting things to watch there.
Definitely. And one more thing before we let you go, Brian. When we look at how mail-in voting has impacted this in terms of the numbers as we see them coming in, what have you seen so far tonight in terms of who might be leading now but might not be leading later when all of the vote is counted?
The assumption is that more Democrats voted early or they voted absentee. And if that is true, then whatever you're seeing now in terms of competitiveness, President Trump in these blue wall states especially, you're looking at Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, any inroads made by President Trump could be undone once those mail-in ballots start to be counted. Again, assuming that there is this sort of 2-to-1 Democratic advantage that the pollsters were looking at heading into today. And you have to assume that with their research skills and the scientific processes they use, that they're actually working from a sense of what's been going on. If those assumptions of a 2-to-1 margin, though, are a bit off, then we may be looking here at President Trump's winning the second term from all of this. And so it's going to just be, I think, an interesting few days. I liken it more to the opening ceremony of the Olympics rather than the Super Bowl, because we've got a little bit of ways to go. And I don't know, even tomorrow morning when I appear on Daybreak over on Color, we're going to be seeing too much in terms of a finality with all of this. There's a lot more to go and a lot of votes yet to be counted.
Definitely a long ways to go. Thanks, Brian. Turning now to some more Missouri races, taking a look at some new numbers in the lieutenant governor race. Current Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe is leading with 64% of the vote. Alicia Kennedy has 34%. She's the Democratic opponent, and she says that if she's elected, she will focus on COVID-19 pandemic and race relations. Now, you may recall Mike Kehoe was appointed to lieutenant governor in 2018 after former Governor Eric Greitens resigned and Mike Parson assumed the role of governor.
Let's take a look at the Secretary of State race here in the state of Missouri. You can see the number of precincts reporting continues to tick up, and right now Jay Ashcroft with almost 2/3 of the vote right now is leading. Yinka Folity behind at 31% of the vote. 66% of voters here in the Show Me State saying yes to Jay Ashcroft so far tonight. Ozarks Fox 2020 election coverage. We'll be right back with more right after the break.
You know, you were once a state rep, and now you're
serving in the House and the Senate, and now I'm presiding commissioner of Greene County.
Yeah, so you know, you were. The two campaigns compare, and you know, what has the process meant to you today? Because I heard you were speaking up Shane Scholler a lot.
Yes.
You know. Can you say it? Yes, how much time do I have? Okay, how much time do I have? Okay.
And now, local election results and analysis from your local election headquarters.
Welcome back to Ozarks Fox. As numbers continue to come in on this historic election night, I'm Sarah Scarlett.
And I'm John Adams. Let's get right to it and take a look at where the presidential race stands right now. And we're looking at the swing states.
Yeah, we're looking at the swing states.
We all knew it was going to come down to this, and we haven't been able to call any of the swing states so far. Quite a bit of the vote is in Florida. We can take a look at that. And so far, if you're in the member of the president's campaign so far, you're taking a look at the numbers in Florida, and you're pretty pleased with them.
Yeah, because 91% is reporting, and he's ahead with 51%. It is still close. Mm-hmm. It's still close, but we're only lacking 9% of the vote there.
We are, yeah. So it's close to possibly being in the president's column so far this evening. And if you're the president, you needed to win Florida. Mm-hmm. So far, so good for the president. We'll take a look. Pennsylvania is another state we're watching, and 52% of voters in the state right now saying yes to President Trump. 44% are supporting former Vice President Joe Biden
and it's
right
still
now.
Early in the night there too. It's only about 30%.
And these are the states that we're expecting to go into the night. Pennsylvania, Ohio is another one. 52% of voters in Ohio supporting President Trump right now. But Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, very important. And we're not expecting any calls on these states anytime soon. Mm-hmm. And so let's take a look at the race for governor here in the state of Missouri. And we continue to tick up a lot of long lines at ballot polling locations so far today. We're having a little bit later results than we expected, but 45% of the vote is in so far right now, and so far so good for the current governor, Republican Mike Parson.
Currently, Mike Parson is ahead with 56%, and Democratic State Auditor Nicole Galloway has about 42%. Rick Combs, the Libertarian candidate, and the Green Party candidate, Jerome Bauer, are both behind with 1% of the vote.
And the governor is here in Springfield tonight, and he's at the Bass Pro White River Conference Room, and so are a few of our reporters.
That's right. David Chazanov is live there. David, what is the atmosphere like?
Well, guys, it's so loud that I'm now wearing headphones. Honestly, it is really loud, and you can catch the energy in this room. You can see familiar faces in here, coming all the way from Congressman Jason Smith, Representative Steve Helms, and Presiding Commissioner of Greene County, Bob Dixon. Bob, thanks for being here. What brings you here tonight?
Well, it's always an exciting time to see how the election results come in, and of course, this has been a big day for Greene County, very high turnout. And I have to give credit to Greene County Clerk Shane Scholler for a very well-run election as usual. But this one was more difficult with the pandemic and all of the extra things that were done. So we're very proud tonight in Greene County.
Yeah, so you have experience running on the state level and now the local level. How do those two campaigns compare?
Well, it's very different. I'm glad to not be on the ballot tonight. I'm celebrating for other people, but it is much different than being in state office, and it's also different legislating versus administrating, which is what we do here at the county level, making sure that our local government functions and functions well. And so I appreciate it, I enjoy it, and it's definitely a pleasure to serve the people of Greene County.
Will the results tonight at all impact how you approach your next coming years as Greene County's presiding commissioner?
It will. Both of the associate commission seats are up for election tonight. They are contested. The other 4 county offices that are on the ballot are not contested. So the commission will be different with the retirement of the wonderful and talented Harold Bench. We will miss him tremendously, but we very possibly will have a new commissioner. We will have a new commissioner there, and then, of course, I'm pulling for my good friend and colleague John Russell tonight on the east side.
All right, well, we appreciate it, Bob. Thank you so much. And we'll send it back to you guys reporting in Springfield. David Chasanoff, Ozarks First.
All right, thanks, David. Your local election headquarters is also bringing you coverage from Columbia. This is where state auditor and candidate for Missouri Governor Nicole Galloway is tonight. If Galloway is elected, she would be Missouri's first female governor. And supporters of the Democratic Party have gathered at Mother's Brewing in Springfield.
And that's where we can find our Frances Lynn tonight. Frances joins us now with more.
Yeah, good evening, John and Sarah. So right now people are just still waiting for the results to pour in, not only for the local elections, but of course Missouri's governor and the president. So as you said earlier, I believe the governor is winning right now, but it's still a little too early to call. The candidates and people here are of course supporting candidate Nicole Galloway and Joe Biden for president. But first, let's talk about our local Missouri House of Representative races. I have here with me Betsy Fogel, who's running against incumbent Steve Helms for District 135. So Betsy, your platform strongly focuses on health care. If elected, how do you plan on bringing health care to District 135?
I think the most important thing right now is making sure that we put a stop to our increasing numbers of our neighbors that are infected with COVID. That, of course, is overwhelmingly number 1. Number 2, making sure we have swift and efficient Medicaid implementation. And then number 3, increasing access to much-needed behavioral and mental health services across the state.
And you mentioned Medicare and those dental plans. How is your healthcare plan better for District 135 compared to your opponent, Steve Helms?
District 135 is comprised of a very diverse population. We have a lot of working families. We have a lot of individuals over the age of 65 and a lot of people who are going to be eligible for the state's subsidized insurance plan. So making sure that we are connecting health insurance to everybody that lives in 135, not just a small subset of the population, I think makes my view of healthcare better than anybody else running in the 135th.
Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, Thank you. And so later, back on Color 10 at around 10, I'll be live again with Greene County Democrats Executive Director Sam Smith, and we'll be talking about candidates Nicole Galloway and Joe Biden. But for now, back to you, Frances Lynn, Ozarks First.
Thanks, Frances. This just in, more breaking news around the country tonight.
Our Madison Heaver joins us now, and she's been checking in on some of the races making news around the country tonight. Madison, what do you have for us?
Yeah, John, I'm keeping up with some key Senate races across the country tonight. But I'll start off with the race for Senate in Arkansas. Republican incumbent Tom Cotton is the projected winner against Democratic challenger Ricky Dale Harrington Jr. That is with 54% of the expected vote. We're also taking a look at Arizona's race for Senate between Republican incumbent Martha McSally and Democrat Mark Kelly. And right now it does look like Kelly is in the lead. And if he does win, that would be a flip in the Senate in that seat. And in Montana, Republican incumbent Steve Daines and Democrat Governor Steve Bullock. It looks like Steve Bullock is in the lead there. That's with 22% reporting. The country is also looking at South Carolina tonight between Republican incumbent Lindsey Graham and Democrat Jamie Harrison. Now that race has been called with Graham as the projected winner with 48% in. You'll also want to keep an eye on these races because they could potentially flip the Senate. We do want to let you know we are also keeping you updated on other races across the country on our website, ozarksfirst.com, with our Ozarks First Right Now breaking news desk.
All right, thanks, Madison. Ozarks Fox is your local election headquarters, and our political analyst, Dr. Brian Califano, joins us now. Brian, we just heard that AP has called Missouri for President Trump. What does that mean in the presidential race?
Well, not a shock. I think everyone sort of expected that you were going to have these key pieces of the puzzle or parts of the puzzle sort of fall into place for both parties. Missouri was one of those for the Republicans. But I think what this means for the larger issues at stake here in terms of the gubernatorial race, for example, I would be very surprised if Nicole Galloway can pull this out at this point, because you have to expect that most people are going to be straight ticket voters. They're not going to go President Trump, Nicole Galloway, and then back down the Republican column, for example. So I think this is essentially writing on the wall for that gubernatorial race. But in terms of President Trump and where this is all leading, I think this also goes back to what we were talking about in the last segment, which is that blue wall. And right now, we're getting to almost 50% of the precincts in places like Michigan and Wisconsin. The president's actually doing pretty well. So unless these major metropolitan areas in Wisconsin like Milwaukee or Madison, or you're waiting for Wayne County, which is Detroit and Michigan, to come in, this may end up being a fairly, I think, positive development for the president. Because again, if he wins a couple of those blue wall states, he's already essentially gotten Florida, then he may be cruising in some respects to re-election, which is, I think, something that a lot of the pollsters and the experts thought really wasn't going to end up happening. But there's always the chance that he was going to be able to thread that needle and find a pathway through to a second term. But again, have to caution that with especially a state like Pennsylvania, unlike Missouri, you're able to count ballots up to 3 days after Election Day. And so anything still in the mail, and we did a story back in September about how slow the mail might be in certain cases, those ballots can still be counted in Pennsylvania. And so this race is not yet over by any stretch. There's going to be a lot of developments, a lot of winding turns going through. And don't forget, too, the Democrats get a big boost when the West Coast ends up having its polls closed at 11 o'clock Eastern time, 8 o'clock local time out there. California is a treasure trove for Democrats, 55 electoral votes. So whatever Joe Biden's doing right now, you essentially add 55 to it, and that's essentially how he's doing, because it's almost impossible for a Republican to win California.
And as we just take a look at the map in general, it's going to be a while before some of these states are called. We've been talking about it for the last few days. So would you advise people just sit back and don't expect anything anytime soon in terms of the race being called?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the tea leaves, though, are interesting. Again, the president doing well in Florida, the president doing decently in Ohio. Ohio has only once in the last several decades not called the presidential race correctly. And so the fact that the president is up by a couple of points right now in Ohio is especially interesting. And then you look at some of these margins in places like Wisconsin and Michigan. Those tea leaves clearly favor President Trump, which I don't think many people expected heading into this, given the way the polls were heading. Now, also caution, there was a lot of concern or writing about the sort of red mirage, as they call it, the sense that the president was going to be up on election night because a lot of the in-person ballots would be counted first, and then the mail-in ballots, absentee, provisional ballots, which may favor Joe Biden, get counted a little later, and that may end up tightening these states up appreciably. So that's why we say, this could be in the next few days, over the weekend into early next week, before we get a clear sense as to who gets to 270.
All right. Political analyst Dr. Brian Califano. Brian, thanks for your insight as always.
Thanks.
Well, checking in now with amendments on the ballot here in the state of Missouri that voters decided on today. We're going to first take a look at Amendment 1, just about a third of the votes in, just over that, 34%. Amendment 1 would put term limits on certain state offices here in Missouri. Right now, 52% of voters are saying no to that, 48% of voters saying yes, kind of similar to the numbers that we flashed up here earlier for this amendment here in the state.
Yeah, not much has changed there. Looking now at Amendment 3, it's been getting more attention. It does away with the nonpartisan demographer position to redraw districts. That's something voters approved in 2018. Right now, Amendment 3 is passing with 54% of voters saying yes and 46% of voters saying no. That is with 34% of precincts reporting. And a no vote keeps what Missourians approved 2 years ago, having one nonpartisan demographer. Yes vote would undo what voters wanted in 2018.
And some new information to get to into the newsroom this evening. Pulaski County is still at 0% reporting. That's because there's still one polling location that's still open right now. Officials say there's dozens of people still in line waiting to vote there.
So results from Pulaski County may take a while to come in tonight.
And that's maybe why we're seeing a delay in some of the precincts reporting here.
Absolutely. We begin our team coverage. Our Jefferson City Capitol Bureau reporter is live with current Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft.
Emily Manley has more. Emily.
All right, well, it's looking like we're having some issues with that shot, so we're going to turn now to Greene County.
Yeah, some new numbers in for Greene County. In District 1, Commissioner seat, 57% of voters here in Greene County supporting Rusty McLachlan, the Republican candidate. Wes Zonker in at 43%. Over half of the vote in so far, 59% in.
And for Greene County's District 2 Commissioner seat, Republican John C. Russell is at 49%. Sarah Lampe, the Democratic candidate, is at 49%. And Cecil Ince, the Libertarian candidate, has 2%. That is with over 50% of precincts reporting. Ozarks Fox will be right back. Stay with us.
I wasn't even thinking. All of a sudden, he yelled in my ear. I was like, no, that's not what I meant.
It's all right.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Nope, I'll be okay coming out of this break.
That was good practice. You were doing great.
That's fine. Can you do me a favor and just make sure that you cut me off at 9:50 at the latest? Thank you.
Ozarks Fox is your local election headquarters. Our Jefferson City Capitol Bureau reporter is live with current Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft.
Let's toss it to Emily Manley. Emily.
Yeah, as we all know, it has been a day where voters have stood in line across the state. So who better to ask about how this election went than the Secretary of State for the state of Missouri, Jay Ashcroft. Thank you for joining me real quick this evening. Let's talk about this election compared to all others. Obviously, we had COVID as a factor.
Yep. It's been a great election. We've had incredible turnout. The people of the state have done a great job. Our election authorities have done a great job. Our poll workers, it's been smooth. We're getting the results. It's Missouri showing the rest of the country how to do it.
And compared to voter turnout, what are you expecting? Obviously, 2016, we have more registered voters from then, but what are you expecting?
We're expecting 75 to 80%. We may have the highest turnout we've had in 30 years. We're close to that.
So when it comes to absentee and mail-in ballots, did it work for this election? Obviously, you had lots more than previous years.
You know, we had a tremendous amount of absentee ballots, about 10 times as many as we had mail-in ballots. People seem to enjoy it. I think that's going to be a discussion of the legislature going forward.
Let's talk about issues, problems. What was going on today across the state?
You know, we really didn't see many problems. I said we were making elections boring again. That's what we want. We want it easy, simple, safe, and secure for the people of the state, and it was.
And finally, what about election integrity? Were there any sort of complaints today?
We haven't seen anything of any sort of substance on that, which is great. It's Missouri. We do it well.
And are you expecting any sort of recount for anyone in the state?
Not yet, but there are still a lot of votes out there. So if we have the election that's very close, that may occur. We'll know better tomorrow morning if that's a possibility.
Thank you so much, Ashcroft, for joining me this evening. I appreciate it. And I'm going to send it back to you guys in Springfield after this big day of voting across the state of Missouri.
Thanks, Emily. In Missouri's governor race, the two main party candidates are Governor Mike Parson, who took over after Eric Greitens, and State Auditor Nicole Galloway. We now know that Missouri has been called for Mike Parson. He's ahead with 58% of the vote. Nicole Galloway had 40% of the vote, but right now we know he's projected to win.
Big night for the governor, Mike Parson, and we could hear it when our David Chasnoff was reporting from the Republican Party. The governor is here in Springfield tonight, and you can just tell the excitement was ticking up as these numbers started to come in. They were getting a sense there that this was probably going to be a big night for the governor, and now the numbers confirm that as well. And just remember back a few weeks ago, the governor was diagnosed with COVID-19, rebounded from that, and now he will have 4 more years here in the state of Missouri.
And this is his first time to be elected.
First time to be elected. Our team coverage on this historic election night continues this evening. And this election that forced county clerks across the country to step up, keeping voters safe and informed every step of the way.
Bailey Stroll is live at University Plaza, where Greene County Clerk Shane Scholler is leading his team. Bailey.
Yeah, I'm actually here at the Election Center on Boonville in Springfield right now, where they will be tallying ballots. And it's really crunch time for those election workers that are just inside. They started tallying absentee and mail-in ballots around 9:30 this morning and have officially moved on to ballots that were cast in person at the polls today. Currently, 24 of 79 precincts reporting here in Greene County. And in total, about 30,000 people in Greene County cast a mail-in or absentee ballot. But as far as voter turnout goes as a whole, we really won't know that until all the results are in tonight. Around 6 o'clock this evening, Greene County Clerk Shane Scholler said voter turnout was sitting around 68%, and it will be interesting to see how that compares to the clerk's office prediction of anywhere from 75 to 80% voter turnout. When I spoke with him a couple weeks ago, Scholler's office says that he expects to have all absentee, mail-in, and now ballots cast in person today counted by around 10:30 tonight, despite exceptionally long lines at some of the polling locations in places like Willard and Republic in Greene County, and he explains why that is.
A number of folks decided to vote curbside, and that's fine. But when they vote curbside, that takes people away from inside the polling location to be able to check in voters. So that lengthened the lines, for example, at Willard, and we saw that also at North Republic. And so we're glad we could vote voters curbside. And what I was really pleased about was the voters that were waiting to vote in line. I didn't hear anyone complain. And so I think they were there to let their voice be heard, and they were willing to wait, and so that was good.
And Scholler says there were some minor issues this morning at polling locations involving voter equipment, as well as some reports of electioneering outside voting locations, but really no major issues that would be expected on Election Day. We'll be anxious to see if that continues here at the Election Center over the next few hours. Reporting in Springfield, Bailey Stroll, Ozarks First.
Thanks, Bailey. Welcome back to your local election headquarters. We're taking a look at several U.S. House seats, starting with District 4. This is West Central Missouri, including Dallas, Webster, Laclede, and Camden counties. Republican Vicki Hartzler currently holds the seat. We're going
to take a look at the Christian County Commissioner race now, or the Stone County Health Department, 100% of precincts reporting folks in Stone County saying yes to this tax levy. A close one tonight, 9,108 votes saying yes, just about a 500 vote advantage there for the yes votes for the tax levy in Stone County.
Turning now to the U.S. House District 4 race in Missouri, 68% of precincts are reporting with Vicky Hartzler, the Republican candidate, ahead with 69%. Democrat Lindsey Simmons has 29%, and Libertarian candidate Stephen Kuntz has 3%.
And that race can be called for Vicky Hartzler. She'll be going back to Washington. Another high-profile member of the U.S. House of Representatives here, Billy Long in U.S. House District 7, with 43% of precincts reporting. 70% of voters saying yes to Billy Long, over 95,000 votes so far tonight. No real surprises there. The incumbent's having a good night here in the state of Missouri.
We're going to take a look at some national numbers now on our website.
And we take a look at the map, and in the presidential election, we still have 131 electoral votes in the former Vice President Biden's column, 108 for President Trump, like we said throughout the evening. And we spoke with our political analyst, Brian Calfano. The numbers that have been coming in have been looking good for the president, and we're going to start in Florida. And 51% of voters there saying yes to President Trump, 47 saying yes to former Vice President Biden, and they're getting close to the end of the evening. Over 90% of votes counted there in the state of Florida. 29 electoral votes up for grabs here. And as we looked at the map coming into the evening, Florida had to go in the president's column, and right now it's looking really good if you're on the president's re-election campaign.
Florida could definitely be a decider there.
Yeah, some other states that we're looking at as well, the Rust Belt states, Pennsylvania, and let's take a look at the numbers there. 54% supporting the president, 42% supporting former Vice President Biden. So if you're in the vice president's campaign tonight, you're looking at some of these numbers in some of the swing states, you're starting to get a little bit worried, wondering where the rest of these votes are going to come in as we move across to Ohio, another state that the president won back in 2016, and he's doing so far some pretty well tonight, 52% of the vote there as well.
It's definitely going to be a close call there. Only 89%, actually 89% reporting. That's pretty large amount of number. Yeah,
numbers are coming in.
All right, we're going to take a look at Michigan now. Michigan is also a state that could be a major decider in this. Right now, Donald Trump is ahead with 54%. Joe Biden has 43% of the vote, and that is with 41% of votes being reported. And we're going to take a look at our U.S. House District 8 race. Right now, we can call this race for Republican Jason Smith. He has 77% of the vote. Democrat Kathy Ellis has 21%, and Libertarian Tom Schmitz has 2%. That is with 71% of precincts reporting.
Yeah, Jason Smith is here in Springfield this evening. Some races that we don't have any numbers in yet. State House District 132. We heard from Democrat Crystal Quaid earlier. She was with our Francis Lynn. No information to report so far this evening from this race. Not sure the reason why, maybe the long lines that we've seen so far in Springfield, and the same thing for State House District 135. Betsy Fogel, we had on the show earlier tonight. She's facing incumbent Steve Helms.
Now we're going to take another look at some national numbers. We're actually going to take a look at Wisconsin right now. Wisconsin is another state that a lot of people are looking towards. Right now, Donald Trump is ahead with 51%, and that is with just about 53% of votes being counted.
And it's been a wild night. We have all those numbers on our website as these swing states continue to come in. You can check our website, ozarksfirst.com. And head over to Color 10 News at 10 right after this. Our colleagues Heather Lewis and David Oliver are getting ready for another round of coverage here on our local races. Maybe we'll get some more numbers in.
They're going to have a full hour of election coverage. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a great night.
No, no weather, no weather. Yes, just get to us as fast as you can.